You're tuning into part 2 of Actify Chats with Peter Douche about Twitter censorship. Welcome back and hope you enjoy.
So is it, I guess it's kind of like, which level of toxicity are we willing to part with? Which one are we willing to accept? Are we willing to accept a level of toxicity where hate speech is allowed on a platform, and or are we wanting to accept a platform where it's not, but anything can kind of get caught up in that, like Janet, you calling somebody a stalker, hate speech? Yeah. Like which one would you say?
What I prefer, I mean, I just block and mute. I mean, like, if you don't like something, just block it or mute it. You don't have to look at it. It's whatever, but no, I mean, but there's definitely nasty people out there too.
Well, I mean, I think there's a real case for targeted harassment, which is, go harass this person. Not, if you send people to your thread, for example, Janet, and say, look at this shit she said, I disagree with it. Is that targeted harassment? That's what it is now in some cases on Twitter. And Twitter is supposed to be a place for ideas. So if you're not threatening someone or saying, go threaten Janet or go tell her she's a terrible person, or, Twitter's a place for words, for fuck's sake. I mean, you're supposed to be able to say things. Do you want a world of like verified accounts all telling us what's up? Like, that's it? We just hear the same shit we hear on MSNBC every day? Because that's the world we'll get if we don't fight back against this.
How do we fight back against this?
I mean, right now, I don't know. I'm at a point where, I mean, I wasn't even really mad. I wasn't even mad that I got suspended. I wasn't mad. I kind of knew, like, after my 7-day and then seeing what happened with Peter Douche, I just kind of saw it was inevitable, so I wasn't really even that mad. But, I would see I knew that they were reporting me. I mean, I would see the chatter in the background, people would send me something, or they're just being idiots and or wanted me to see it, but they would at me. So I would see Donut Twitter doing their thing, and so I knew it was coming. I mean, social media is supposed to be this level playing field, like everyone is equal on it. I mean, we all can talk. I mean, I've talked to billionaires and I've talked to movie stars, or not really much stars anymore, but I mean, I've talked to these people but they don't want us to have that. We can't be on the same playing field as them, so they have to get rid of us. They've already taken media from us, so I guess they have to have social media too, because I don't know, maybe we just talk too much. I don't know.
Right. Well, the problem is, okay, so what happens if we leave Twitter? Where do we go? So all the people on Twitter don't know our voices exist anymore. So whether you ever won an argument on Twitter or not, if you put your voice out there, it was seen by some people. And the bigger following you had, the more people saw your view. So they saw that there are at least a lot of people with that view. So if you live in a world where the views like myself and Janet and Amanda are silenced, and they're not seen amongst everyone else's, and you turn on the TV, you think that that's just the way it is. Whether you agree or not, you don't have any other perspective to even consider. And that's the problem. So that's where I'm like, okay, right now I'll stay on Twitter and I won't get in these nitpicky debates per se as much as I used to, but I'm going to comply with the rules and keep my voice on Twitter. And I'm using it to make a bigger platform and some other things coming up. And I've been saying that forever. They're going to come up sometime soon. But the point is, I don't think we should leave. So I think it's a good idea to find if there's another platform, I mean, eventually Twitter is going to die. Twitter is going to be the next MySpace. You just can't impinge on people's freedom of speech to this level and survive. It's turning off too many people. But until that happens, I'm staying there.
I agree. I'm just gonna stay because I mean they just want me off because they don't understand what I do. I mean I'm weird left Twitter and I make weird memes and I use food products.
I love you,
I'm nuts.
Janet. Janet, if you ever leave, I'm gonna hunt you down and stalk you. So
I was already told I can't leave Twitter, so you're stuck with me. But I have people coming to me like, "Oh, I thought I was following you," and I'm like, "Oh no, this is a different account." Like they you know, because they just people that aren't on every day like us, I guess. Go ahead.
I was today was my Twitter 1 year anniversary.
congratulations, and sad for you.
Thank you.
You had any suspensions in that time?
No, I have not. But one thing that I was talking to a friend of mine and saying, I also live in a very red state. I think I keep bringing this up every time I talk on camera here. But I live in a very red state, and so I'd watch news outlet or independent media, and I'd be like, where do those people exist? Because I need those people in my life. I am going crazy here in Trump country. And one thing that I'm like so appreciative of is just having this little, regardless of how small or large it is, progressive community. And it really does feel like a community. And if for anything, even if everybody couldn't even talk to, other people, that didn't share their ideology, and maybe you guys need that more than I do, just because those are the other people that are around me nonstop. I needed people that were progressive or are progressive. And so I'm just so grateful that this platform exists because I don't feel so isolated and lonely anymore.
Right. But can you imagine if instead of logging on to Twitter, you were logging on to a progressive only network? How that would change your perspective on what the real world, like how progressive the real world is, like all 50 states. Like you wouldn't understand that you are not the minority. And just like you turn on MSNBC, you think you're a minority when you have outlier opinions in MSNBC until you see polls repeatedly saying they're spinning bullshit every single night because they're against Medicare for All. They're not, they're just, but the point is, you need to know how, like reality is based on, you need to know what reality is based on, which is how many people actually believe certain ideas. And when you silence people that have different opinions than you, and you own mainstream media, you got 6 companies owning all of mainstream media. You just saw the thing this week with Sinclair Group. Mm-hmm. And then, net neutrality has been outlawed. And you need all these people like us to come together in one place, and all the ideas are just thrown in like a group, and you see where the numbers are. Oh, look, there are 60% of people on Twitter are arguing for Bernie. Mm-hmm. Where you're not going to get that on TV. Are you going to log on to Twitter? I mean, are you going to log on to MSNBC and see 60% of the people arguing for Bernie's propositions? No. Are you going to log on to Twitter and see 60% of the people arguing for Bernie's ideals? Higher than that. So that tells you, that's how you know you're being propagandized.
Right. That's a good point.
That's a
really good point. Yeah, that's a really good point. No, because from personal experience, I could tell you that it's an isolating experience to not even know that progressives pretty much exist in the real world.
Well, I'll admit I'm the oldest one here, right? I see. But yeah, no, I mean I came on Twitter and I've learned a lot in these last few years. I mean I was progressive anyhow, but I mean I've had my eyes open to a lot more, And I want that for other people. I want them to be able to come on and I mean, Twitter's getting new users all the time. I mean, I want them to come on and see us and find their home here. Find us.
This is an unrelated question, but I think this is probably an interesting question to kind of wrap up on. Speaking kind of of diverse views and diverse opinions, have either of you, Janet or Patrick, convinced a Trump supporter about your specific standing on a certain issue and to support it?
Not so much on Twitter, but in real life, a couple of Trump supporters and maybe a libertarian or two, whatever. I've been able to help them understand a few things. Usually, I mean, it's just getting them to understand Medicare for All,
which I think they will support most of the time. They really, Trump supporters mostly will support Medicare for All. I'm telling you.
I mean, if they understand it, then they support it. I mean, that's just. I mean, the numbers are just growing and growing, and of course the donor class can't have that. So, they have to take away our level playing field of social media. I love Twitter, and I hate it.
I hate it more than I love it.
Patrick, same question. Have you ever been on Twitter been able to convince a Trump supporter of a certain idea that you have or support?
Right. That's an interesting question. I don't think I can pin down to where someone has conceded, Peter Douche, you just beat me. I caved to you. I bow to your greatness. Although that's the only reason I'm on Twitter. I hope to hear that. I'm just kidding. But honestly, I think some people that won't admit it have changed their mind. I think the purpose of my account isn't to attack Republicans most of the time. I'm trying to attack propaganda and reform the Democratic Party. So I will attack Trump occasionally, and it's important that I do that occasionally, but I don't do it all the time because I think that takes away from the argument. I mean, all of the press and most sane people are attacking Trump. Like my one voice attacking Trump on top of that.
Well, it doesn't even have to be an attack, right? For instance, I was able to, very early on in my Twitter life, which is still early because I'm only 1 year old. But anyways, very early on in my early Twitter life, I was actually able to convince a Trump supporter that Medicare for All was actually a good thing, and they said that they would support it. In fact, they ended up coming back and was like, "Did I just agree with you?" I'm like, "I think you did." So it doesn't have to, so I didn't attack Trump at all. I didn't say anything negative. I just said this is a policy I think could really benefit people.
Right, and but that's how I look at it. I think if you don't reform the Democratic Party, nothing progressive will ever happen. Right? You're not going to convince. You don't need to convince Trump voters to support Bernie. You need to convince Democrats they need to be progressive. That's the real thing that has to happen. The people that are already polarized on the far right, they're not going to switch over. You're going to get some of them to support some ideas, but enthusiasm is always what wins elections. And so if you don't have people that are enthusiastic about what the Democratic Party stands for, you're not going to win an election. They have to come out and vote. And if you don't have progressives, you're not going to get progressive ideas. So look, let Trump be Trump. I mean, fight it all. I'm not saying don't fight it all. But my purpose is not to say Trump is bad and evil, which he is. My purpose is to say, look, if we want to make change in the world, we have to take over the Democratic Party or start something else, both most likely, but it's not happening from just saying Trump is bad. It's changing what we stand for, what the Democrats stand for.
My whole thing with Donut Twitter, like saying, "Oh, why don't you go after Trump?" It's like, you people are the ones that are supposed to have closer ideal, your ideals should be closer to mine. I should be able to convince you how, of, becoming more progressive and moving to the left. I mean, I, I just, I, I see them as a barrier. I mean, they're a barrier to get to the Trump people anyways. We have to get through them first.
Well, I think it's because simultaneously progressives, or a lot of progressive people that I interact with on Twitter, don't really insult everybody. I mean, you've got just the centrist or donut Twitter that's just punch left, punch left, punch left. These guys are racist. Oh, but then they're also kind of merge in the resist Twitter as well. So they're punching right. They're like, those guys are racist. Okay, everybody's racist now, and I guess.
But all the popular ideas are on the progressive wing of the party, and all the polls show that over and over. So when you just say, well, why aren't you punching right more? Well, if you don't push for the progressive ideas, you get the generic ideas, which are just Medicare Extra, or whatever they're going to call the next, not Medicare,
right,
for all.
I mean, yeah, that's what I think. I mean, we should be able to have this open discourse. We should be able to try to see where the differences are and see if there's a way that we can work it out. I mean, we're supposed to be closer in ideals with them. So, I mean, we should be able to work with them on this. And this is why we go at them, not, we have hope for them. We want them to come over to the left.
And the crazy thing is, Democrats don't even disagree with those issues. They just want you to stop critiquing their people that don't support the issues. But the actual voters agree with the issues.
Yeah, that's interesting.
The progressive issues.
Yeah, that's very true. Because again, the majority of the country agrees with left issues. Like they're left on the issues. The majority of the country. So of course, it would make sense that they would actually agree with you if they stopped kind of focusing on your critique of the person that they idolize for some reason.
Right. So when you look in some of the red states and you look at how unpopular our healthcare system is across the board, do you not think you're going to peel off 5% of Republican votes for Medicare for All, with 5% of the people that are staunch Republicans that realize they're caught up in a fucked up just a health system that's failed them? You don't think 5% of the people are living in that world themselves? Of course they are. Of course, but the people, there are so many people like literally now affected by it that you would instantly peel off a percentage of Republican voters because they know it affects their lives now. So when all these consultant groups come out and say these ideas are undoable and pipe dreams, they're not. They're just getting paid to not. They're getting paid to find a reason to argue against these systems that everyone wants.
So I'm curious, because I said that was going to be my last question, but speaking back kind of on the censorship idea, you've got these big players like Sally Albright, Cake Daddy. Who are their followers? And I'm sure that it's overblown, but how do you reach them?
I say you don't.
You don't.
They're
because Janet, you were just arguing that these people should be the ones that are, these centrists should be the ones that are kind of aligned more with us than they do with the GOP. Yet they're too busy fighting us. So we should ideally form an alliance. How do we reach them? And so, Patrick, you're saying that we don't reach them?
Well, I think you're already talking about a smaller niche of the real world so Sally Albright is not representative of people that are Democrats. She's not representing Democrats. She's putting out propaganda. So you've got a small window of people, a small percentage of people that are buying her propaganda. So if you think you can extrapolate that and that's the population, it's not. I mean, even if you look at the number of followers she has, I don't know, 100,000 or something. Right after the election, she would tweet something and she would get like 500 to 1,000 retweets. I mean, it was just off the charts because everyone was sort of buying into the propaganda. They had their propaganda network spinning stuff. People weren't fighting back against it. Now you see them, they have all those followers and they get like 50 retweets. I mean, if you break it down, they're losing the internet epically every day. So trying to win those people over that are already in sort of this cultish sort of, I don't know if they, you got a mix of true believers and propaganda and stuff like that. But I don't think you need to focus on getting them on our side because you're not. I just don't think you're going to.
So it's kind of safe to say there are, like, the people that are there are actually already on our side?
Oh, I think on the internet, Bernie wins every day. He's won every day of his life. He's won every day since the primary started. It's propaganda we're up against.
And I think you're thinking like all Dems follow them, but no, it's just, I mean, they only have so many real followers. So, I mean, there's plenty of ones. I've had Democrats that were Hillary supporters even come to me and say, oh, I saw that exchange. Like, that was just nasty. Like, I mean, so, I mean, that's what we have to do that for. You know what I mean? That's why, we have to do it the way, I mean, you get people that like bullies. I mean, they like to, they'll join in and stuff. They think it's really fun to be, bullying people and that they think it's winning to be bullying people. But I mean, but there are people out there that you can reach. There's the people, they're coming in, to Twitter, like I said, like, I mean, new people are coming in. They see a stupid Trump tweet on, mainstream media, and they're like, oh, we should be in Twitterland, and so as they are coming in, like, we want them to see our message. So maybe they change their mind, or maybe they were heading them.
But I think if Twitter doesn't, if we don't get so compartmentalized, Twitter allows people to see how unpopular views are. So it allows people to see through the propaganda, because if you go to Tom Watson's site and read something and he says something absurd and there are 100 negative responses about it and 50 retweets of his comment. And then you go to somebody on the right, Nomiki, for example, she says something and there are 400 retweets and 400 positive comments and 10 negative comments. These things add up, and that's where I think, like, this whole thing, whether you win an argument or not, it's like a tally of views. Twitter is sort of like, oh, I see all these people believe this, these people believe this, these things add up. So I'm just saying, I don't think you need to win an argument every time, but you have to have the voices out there. And that's what I see as important.
That's what made these kind of bots so dangerous, is because they would pop up and amplify particular views that people didn't necessarily agree with, but it was making the appearance that people agreed with them. So I just wanted to kind of end on this quote so that our viewers can kind of understand the gravity of kind of what everybody here is up against. So it says, in relation to Twitter, in their place, the online world that was supposed to bring us together and tear down the last bastions of censorship has instead created the greatest censorship and surveillance infrastructure the world could ever imagine. So I just thought that was a really powerful sentence, because it's very true. So like Patrick, you were saying, just stay on the platform and make sure you keep saying the same message that you really believe in, and just tell your truth. Janet, you do the same. So
Absolutely.
So Patrick, thank you for joining us. And
thank you. It's been great.
Thank you for talking to us. So you just watched chat. We just spoke to both Patrick and Janet about censorship on social media. And I think we're done. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another segment of Chat. We hope you enjoyed, and remember to like and subscribe below and share with everybody you know. Also, if you are so inclined, head on over to our Patreon and kick in a few bucks to help us bring you more content like this. The link is in the description below or at www.patreon.com/ActifyChat. Thank you, and have super fun at whatever you're going to be doing after I stop talking now.